Manu Bhaker never fancied visiting the Eiffel Tower. I have already visited it before. She said she found it okay. When she returns to India after the Paris Games, Manu will carry a piece of the iconic monument back with her. Like all the medals at the Paris Olympics, her bronze will contain within its center fragments of iron kept away during renovations of the famous tower. With a gentle pull of the trigger, the shooter who stormed into the limelight as a 16-year-old prodigy ended India's decade-plus wait for an Olympic podium finish in shooting. She won India's first medal of the Paris Games in 10-meter air pistol event. She also shot herself into the history books as the country's first woman shooter to win an Olympic Games medal. Manu's instinctive reaction on the firing point was to purse her lips. She had missed out a potential gold or silver medal by only zero point 0.1 points, meaning her last shot was away from the bullseye by a hairline, allowing South Korea's this to overtake her. But within a fraction of a second, the reality dawned upon her when she had the bronze, and then she broke into a big, wide smile that would not leave her face. At 22, Manu became India's fifth Olympic medalist in the sport, the youngest of the lot, and the first since the London Games in 2012 when Gagan Narang and Vijay Kumar medaled. Obviously, I dreamt about it, but being here standing with the medal around my neck, it feels surreal. I feel like I am on the top of the world, Manu said, tightly holding her bronze medal. This was a high-class field in the final comprising two shooters, each from South Korea and China, who had until then swept all gold medals in shooting. In the company of world champions and Olympic medalists, Manu never looked out of place. Her coach Jaspal Rana, sitting in the stands, teared up and left the finals whole moment after the last shot was fired. Next to him, a dozen or so fans from India. In front of them, the national team coaches and officials hugged and backslapped each other. For each of them, the wait for this medal had felt like an eternity. Shooting has been one of the India's heavily invested sports, which aided in the creation of an incredible pool of players who for the last decade won everywhere else but choked at the Olympics. Cereal grains have overtaken sugarcane as the primary feedstock for the production of ethanol used in blending with petrol. In the current supply year, sugar mills and distilleries supplied 401 crore liters of ethanol to oil marketing companies. Till June 30 of that, 211 crore liters or 52% was ethanol produced using maize and damaged food grains, while sugarcane-based feedstocks accounted for a remaining 190 crore liters. A student's performance based on both exams and continuous classwork in class 9, 10th and 11 should be counted towards their final marks at the end of class 12. According to a report recently submitted to the Education Ministry by Parakh, a unit set up in NCERT last year to standardize assessment by school boards across the country. In the line with the National Education Policy, Parakh's mandate included capacity development achievement surveys. In the first meeting after the Lok Sabha election results, PM Modi last week asked 7 Bharatiya Janata Party MPs to lead the charge and break the cycle of the party's inability to come to power in the Delhi Assembly, said sources. The meeting took place on Wednesday and it is said to have lasted around 20 minutes. The Prime Minister, according to party sources, is said to have reminded the 7 BJP MPs, 6 of whom are newcomers, that non-performance and lack of public connect were the reasons behind the party's decision to replace their predecessors, asking the newly sworn-in Lok Sabha MPs to hit the ground to avoid the same fate. According to party insiders, the Prime Minister told the BJP MPs to deliver as many developmental projects in the respective parliamentary constituencies as possible in the run-up to the assembly elections in Delhi due early next year. According to party sources, the Prime Minister, underlining the party's inability to form the government in the capital for over 3 decades, asked the MPs to rely little on the party's state unit when it came to the BJP's prospectus in the 25 Delhi Assembly elections and lead the charge, especially in terms of establishing and nourishing a connection with the capital citizen. In addition to developmental projects in Delhi's unauthorized colony, sources said the Prime Minister was also understood to have asked the MPs to deliver on their respective 100-day plan, which they had announced while campaigning for the recently concluded Lok Sabha elections within the stipulated deadline. Party sources pointed out that the majority of the BJP's Delhi MPs, especially South Delhi MP Ramveer Singh Bidhori, New Delhi MP Bansuri Savraj, North East Delhi Manoj Tiwari and North West Delhi MP Yogendra Chandolia, inaugurated a slew of developmental projects in their constituencies since the meeting with the Prime Minister. As the political blame game simmers over the coaching center's flooding tragedy, Delhi Urban Development Minister Saurabh Bhardwaj on Sunday shared a video on social media of a meeting held last month on monsoon preparations, alleging that desilting was not carried out properly in the city, which resulted in waterlogging across Delhi. The Aam Aadmi Party leader claimed helplessness as he said officials did not respond to the deteriorating situation that was flagged in the meeting. Lieutenant Governor Vinay Kumar Saxena is responsible for taking action against erring officials, he added. Bhardwaj shared a video on Twitter as the Delhi LG in a series of posts criticized the ruling up on the Sunday of misgovernance that Delhi has been subjected to during the last decade or so, while condoling the death of 3 students in the flooded basement at Rao's IAS study circle in central Delhi's old Rajinder Nagar on Sunday. Delhi's Truth Everyone is saying that the work of desilting in the city was not done properly. Due to this, there was waterlogging across the city and many lives were lost due to the electrocution. There is negligence on the part of the coaching institute, but a big conspiracy has been hatched against the people of Delhi, Bhardwaj wrote on X. Although the department is not mine, the minister who takes care of it also agrees the elected government can neither transfer these officers nor take action. Only the LG can. He further added in an apparent reference to Public Works Department Minister Atishi. A minister gives evidence of corruption in desilting and complains, but PWD Secretary does not take any action for a year. The next year evidence is provided yet again, but a spot check does not follow. Chief Secretary Naresh Kumar, who is a Chief Vigilance Officer, does not take any action. The meeting was held on June 28. It is in the hands of LG to take action, Bhardwaj posted. Atishi, among the other Delhi ministers, Chief Secretary Naresh Kumar, PWD Principal Secretary and other officials were present at the meeting. In a statement, Delhi BJP Chief Virendra Sachdeva said the same ministers who were boasting about cleaning drains and sewers until Saturday morning are now on Sunday blaming officials for a lack of cleanliness. They want to now show through this video that officials did not cooperate. Months ahead of launching his party on October 2, Jan Suraj founder and former poll strategist Prashant Kishore has ruled himself out of the leadership race and said a Dalit would helm the organization. Kishore's announcement came Sunday after consulting delegates from across the state in Patna. Kishore started his Padyatra on October 2, 2022, themed on proportional representation for all and on the promise of developing the state so that people would not have to migrate to study, work or for treatment. Ruling himself out of the leadership race, Kishore made it clear that 25 applicants who are capable of bringing in 5,000 people each into the party fold can apply for the president's post. A 7-member empowered committee of Jan Suraj would take the final call. There are few broad social groups, general category OBC, EBC, SC, ST and Muslims. As Dalits are the most disadvantaged, the first president of the new party will come from this section. We have also decided on giving rotational representation, which means the tenure of the president would be for a year, he said. Kishore said currently the delegates were undecided between class 10th and 12th as the minimum qualification for the party's chief post. Lalu and Bihar CM Nitish Kumar have left the state full of illiterates and hence we cannot have graduate as the minimum qualification for our party chief's post, he said. It is under 2 months since the Lok Sabha poll results came out, but the dust has not settled in UP, where the BJP was pulled down the most and where the party remains convulsed by bickering. Note criticism of Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath and counter move by the CM. It may still be early to call it a revolt, but the face of the resistance is Deputy CM Keshav Prasad Maurya, a prominent OBC face who has long eyed the top job. The organization, he said, was bigger than the government. A pointed critique of the CM for his alleged over-reliance on bureaucrats, Maurya is supported by the other Deputy CM Brijesh Pathak and UP BJP Chief Bhupendra Chaudhary, who has briefed the PM on his assessment of the defeat. The BJP's partners in UP echoed Maurya's words. Sanjay Nishad of the Nishad party blamed Yogi for his bulldozer politics. Anupriya Patel of the Apna Dal criticized the government for virtually de-reserving seats meant for OBCs. Yogi promptly met Pallavi Patel of the rival Apna Dal, who had in 22 defeated Keshav Prasad Maurya. In private, many speak about sabotage in the election and the manner of instance in which Rajputs, the community of which Yogi belongs, sat at home or voted against the BJP. During the campaign, many Rajputs had said that they had heard that with 400 par the BJP brass could shunt Yogi out of the Lucknow and send him to Delhi. There is growing concern in the party now that it has to win back the support of the non-Yadav OBCs and Dalit in UP, who this time switched to vote for the Samajwadi Party and the Congress. The party is also aware that once these ground level shifts start in UP, given their scale and scope, it may be difficult to reverse course. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar on Sunday held wide-ranging talks with his American counterpart Antony Blinken against the backdrop of an unease in India-US ties following Prime Minister Modi's visit to Russia 3 weeks back. The duo is in Tokyo to attend a meeting of foreign ministers of four-nation grouping Quad or Quadrilateral Coalition on Monday. The talks between Jaishankar and Blinken also came amid Washington consistently seeking accountability from New Delhi in the case relating to alleged foiled plot to kill Sikh extremist Gurpatwant Singh Pannu in New York. It is not immediately clear whether Modi's visit to Russia and the murderer for hire plot figured in the Jaishankar-Blinken talks. In a post on X, Jaishankar said, "Great to catch up with Blinken in Tokyo today. Our bilateral agenda progresses steadily." Also had a wide-ranging discussion on regional and global issues. In his post on X, Blinken wrote that he met Jaishankar to deepen US-India collaboration and affirm our shared commitment of regional peace, security and prosperity. It is learned that the Russia-Ukraine conflict and the situation in Gaza figured in the talks. The US and several of his allies were outraged over the timing of Modi's July 8-9 visit to Moscow, as it coincided with the NATO summit in Washington. US Assistant Secretary of State for South and Central Asia Donald Lu told a US congressional hearing on Tuesday that the US was disappointed by the symbolism and timing of Modi's visit to Russia.
Hello. Hello.
How educated mothers of young kids can be asset of Nipun. The new National Education Policy was launched on July 29, 4 years ago. One of NEP 2020 key recommendation was to ensure that by the time children reach grade 3, they have acquired foundational literacy and numeracy skill. To this end, the center launched the Nipun National Initiative for Proficiency in Reading with Understanding and Numeracy Bharat Mission on July 5-21. The mission has seen energetic implementation in many states, with a new framework for the foundational stage of education developed and released well before frameworks of other stages. This framework includes teacher training oriented towards the new goals, especially designed teaching learning materials for use by children and teachers in early grade classrooms, etc. But in addition to these in-school efforts, there are a set of interlinked social and demographic trends which, if leveraged, could provide a boost to the Nipun efforts. Here we focus on parents, especially the mothers of young children, to see how their contribution can help in strengthening children's learning journey. The World Heritage Committee on Friday decided to include the Palestinian site of Tel Amir in both the UNESCO World Heritage Site list and the list of World Heritage in Danger during its 46th session in New Delhi. Also known as the Monastery of Saint Hilarion, the site lies in the Gaza Strip, which continues the reel under Israel's relentless assault. Situated on the coastal downs of the Nuseirat municipality, just 10 kilometers south of Gaza City, the ancient Christian monastery was found in the 4th century by Hilarion the Great, considered by some to be the father of Palestinian monasticism. Born in Tabatha, close to where his monastery would eventually come up, Hilarion became a monk at the age of 15. As his fame grew, his small hermitage turned into a thriving monastery which attracted followers from all over, many of whom would choose Hilarion's mendicant lifestyle. The present-day archaeological remains of the site span more than 4 centuries. From the time of Hilarion to the Umayyad period, the ruins comprise 5 successive churches, bath and sanctuary complexes, geometric mosaics, and an expensive crypt, making the monastery one of the largest in the Middle East, according to the World Monuments Fund, an independent organization which facilitates the preservation of world's most treasured places. The monastery was likely abandoned after the 17th century earthquake, only to be uncovered by local archaeologists in 1999. On July 26, the 25th anniversary of the Kargil War, Prime Minister Modi led the nation in paying tribute to the bravehearts who displayed extraordinary valor in the face of enormous tactical difficulties posed by the craggy Himalayan topography to safeguard the country's sovereignty. The choice of Dras in the Himalayan heights was appropriate for his solemn occasion. Whether the Kargil War of mid-1999 was a victory or a case of the armed forces evicting Pakistani troops from Indian territory at a high human cost is a matter of debate. However, PM Modi highlighted a very important aspect of the war. In Kargil, we not only won the war, we also presented an incredible example of truth, restraint and strength. He said the endeavour was helmed by then Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee, who headed the first BJP-led NDA government, and the then National Security Advisor Brijesh Mishra. The Kargil War has several distinctive facts, each of which merits detailed discussion, but some aspects are particularly important. In the post-Cold War period, this was the first such exigency in which two states with nuclear weapons capability, also proximate neighbors, were engaged in a limited but intense conventional war over territory. Despite some feckless rattling by Pakistani diplomats at the UN in the early stages of the war, in hindsight, it is evident that both sides exercised nuclear restraint and the apocalyptic escalation that was feared did not occur. PM Vajpayee arrived at a very prudent Kargil was also the first televised war in India, and this added to citizens' awareness and emotive nationalism. Captain Vikram Batra's battle cry "Ye Dil Mange More" is now part of collective memory. Kargil is also an opportune moment to reflect on major omissions and inadequacies here the military and intelligence domain merit scrutiny. Over the years, a reasonable body of information detailing the fine print of the Kargil war has accumulated. In hindsight, it may be averred that inter-service cooperation and the spirit of jointness, particularly between the Army and the Air Force, left much to be desired. The numerous first-person accounts testify to such failures and more. From Pakistan's perspective, Kargil was a gamble secretly planned by General Musharraf. It was tactically audacious but strategically imprudent. The stealthy intrusions by Pakistani troops has been ascribed to a lack of timely intelligence inputs. Some accounts have placed the onus of failure on RANW. Other contest his view, but the embedded lessons from the conflict are instructive for the Modi government. The Vajpayee government was a caretaker since it had lost the vote of conflict by a single vote in April 1999. However, the outcome of the war paid rich electoral dividends, and the Vajpayee-led NDA was back in office later in the year. To his everlasting credit, PM Vajpayee took ownership of the lapses in Kargil, and the Cabinet Committee on Security was tasked to analyze the lesson to be learned, an unprecedented step for the Indian governance machinery. The detailed chronology of the decision that followed is breathtaking. PM Vajpayee set up a Kargil Review Committee on July 29, 1999. The committee's report was submitted to the government in mid-December 1999. The KRC made it clear that it was not set up to conduct an inquiry but to examine the sequence of events and make recommendations for the future. Following the submission of the report, Vajpayee constituted a group of ministers on April 17, 2000 to review the national security system in its entirety. The committee was directed to examine the KRC's recommendations and formulate specific proposals for implementation. The GOM held its meeting on April 27, 2000 and set up 4 tasks: 1. Intelligence apparatus, internal security, border management and higher management of defense. Domain experts from outside the government were invited to head these TFs. They included GC Saxena, NN Vohra, Madhav Godbole and Arun Singh. It is pertinent to note that the Vajpayee team had no hesitation in inviting Arun Singh, who had been minister in the Rajiv Gandhi cabinet, to be part of the exercise in reforming the outdated national security architecture. All the task force submitted their findings and recommendations by the end of September 2000, and these documents were placed before Parliament. Redacted versions were placed in the public domain. However, Vajpayee government attention was diverted by other events, including 9/11 and the terrorist attack on Parliament in December 2000. The implementation of the GOM-TF recommendations therefore remained incomplete. It is a matter of regret that in the last 2 decades, India was again surprised by the adversary in Mumbai in November 2008 and in Galwan in June 2022. Reviewing and reforming the national security edifice, both external and internal, and making it nimbler and more effective will require time. PM Vajpayee took the first major step by investing in transparency and encouraging deliberations in Parliament, though the Congress used every opportunity to attack the government. Will PM Modi be able to complete the task begun by his illustrious predecessor in the BJP and use the same toolkit? National security matters must not to be exploited for short-term electoral gain and for politicized, but that seems to be current state of play in domestic politics. Bemoaning this trend at Dras, PM Modi claimed that it is not the party but the country that is paramount for me. In his third tenure, which also defines his legacy, Modi must lead by example. Not doing so will amount to dishonoring the sacrifice of the country's soldiers in Kargil. Russian President Vladimir Putin on Sunday warned the United States that if the Washington deployed long-range missiles in Germany, then Russia would station similar missiles in striking distance of the West. The United States said July 10 that it would start deploying long-range missiles in Germany from 2026 in preparation for a longer-term deployment that will include developmental hypersonic weapons. In a speech to sailors from Russia, China, Algeria and India on Russian Navy Day at St. Petersburg, Putin warned the US that it risks triggering a Cold War-style missile crisis with the move. The flight time to targets on our territory of such missiles, which in the future may be equipped with nuclear warheads, will be about 10 minutes. The situation is reminiscent of the events of the Cold War related to deployment of American medium-range perishing missiles in Europe, Putin said. We will take measures to deploy, taking into account the actions of the United States, its satellites in Europe and in other regions of the world. Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni vowed on Sunday to relaunch cooperation with China, signing a 3-year action plan during his first official visit to Beijing since taking office, Italian news agency ANSA reported. Meloni made the announcement during a meeting with Chinese Premier Li Qiang as Rome seeks to improve trade ties with Beijing after it exited President Xi Jinping's flagship Belt and Road infrastructure scheme last year. The Italian leader said her 5-day trip was a demonstration of the will to begin a new phase to relaunch our bilateral cooperation, reported. The action plan will aim to experiment with new reforms of cooperation, she added. Meloni, who sees Chinese investment as a way of spur Italy's anemic economic growth, will meet Xi and China's top legislator, third in the leadership hierarchy, Bilateral trade and industrial agreements are expected to be signed during Meloni's visit, a source close to the planning has said. She also attended an Italy-China business forum to which companies including Italian tire maker Pirelli, Energy Group, ENI, Defense Group, Leonardo and fashion groups such as Dolce and Gabbana were invited. The opening act that coming of age table takes place in Grenada. In February this year, Manu Bhaker was in the medieval Spanish town for a shooting World Cup. The tournament was a mixed bag. In her individual event, the pistol shooter faced a bronze medal. The mixed team event, though, did not go too well. The Manu of old would have taken a shuttle back to the hotel and spent the rest of the day in her room sulking, but I was like, okay, fine, next match. She told the Indian Express in an interview in May, you can always live life, come on, and you can always make mistakes. She put on her best dress, wore this and this, okay.